Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Church Solutions Podcast.
My name's Steve Lacy.
And I'm Michael Gray.
Michael Gray, Steve Lacy, and I'm Phil Thompson. It's good to be with you today as we do another Church Solutions Podcast. This is number 2,858, in case you're counting. Actually, we don't know what it is. I think it's like 249.
We lost count a long time ago.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, really, we have. Honestly, we did video stuff like 10 or 11 years ago. And so, anyhow, it's good to have everybody here. We're a company that really helps churches and ministries, for the most part, use technology. Our specialties are streaming video, mobile apps, other church stuff, church management, content stuff. So we have been doing this for a long time. It's what we do. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about streaming video and a very important aspect of streaming video, in our opinion, and that is not streaming video, but actually the chat part, which really is part of streaming video. I'm kind of overemphasizing things here. But one of the things we want to talk about today, especially during this whole COVID-19 thing, and I feel like I've been talking about COVID-19 now for 4 months.
Yeah, I think you will be for the rest of the year, so just get used to it.
I guess so. And
just let it roll.
Yeah, and it's happening, and at this point, at the recording of this time, we're in the second week of July here in Arizona. Arizona's peaking, but so are many other states all over the place as well. So churches have opened, many churches have opened, many churches have not. But one thing that is very common, and that is most churches are realizing, okay, even though we might be open, we're not having the numbers we had because of social distancing or other recommendations. And so many people are still watching online. And we here at streamingchurch.tv can attest to that. We have lots of people using us, and it continues to happen even in the summer here. So we're going to talk about hosting, about a church online host or a host online. We've called it web host in the past. We've called it church online pastor. We've called it all sorts of different names over the years. And basically what it means is you have a host that is there with you watching the video, and they are able to connect with people that come online to watch. And so we're going to talk about some things here that an online host should be doing to enhance the experience of a person viewing the streaming. Did that make sense what I'm saying, guys?
It does. And I would characterize your online host as kind of like your greeter, or people know greeters out front. The Walmart greeter, your church greeter, it's those that are out front and shaking hands and doing that sort of thing. So this is someone that's online, that's seeing people arrive and making them welcome and answering questions, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more important than ever. I mean, because there are people that are not going out a lot. They're not going to their church. They're not, getting involved with people because of this whole pandemic. And so it's more important than ever to reach out and connect with people. And you can certainly do that in lots of different ways. We talked last week about using Zoom to do some things. But let's talk about if you're streaming video and you've got this chat feature, and many of these features, many of these companies now have chat. We've had it forever. We were one of the first ones, and we've tried to make it so that it's very usable and works very well in helping people connect. So let's just jump into this, shall we, gentlemen?
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the 8 things your online host should be prepared to share in the chat.
We have 8, but we might have more.
Not seven, but 8.
No, as we talk here, there may be 10. Who knows? As we jump in here and collaborate together. All right. So number 1 I have is greeting, personal greeting. So one of the things, and Mike and I, Mike was the church online guy. I think I replaced him at his church, but Mike knows this very well. Tell us a little bit about personal greeting, Mike. Why is that so important?
Well, I am a firm believer in everything that you do online should mirror what you do at the real I said that wrong, at the live campus. So
on ground.
If we genuinely care for people who are our guests and walking in our door, then we're going to give them some kind of a greeting and an engagement and an opportunity to invite them into conversation with the rest of us by saying their name. Hey, Phil, I'm glad you're here. Happy Sunday, or whatever that is for you.
Right. So the key is a personal, personal by stating their name. And one of the advantages we have with the online church is they're going to enter with some sort of name. So as opposed to just walking up with the, hey, hey, bud, or if you don't know their name, you're going to know their name. Even if they're guest 384, you can say, hey, guest 384, glad you're here, and love to,
Feel free to tell us your name. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point, because I can never remember people. I'm terrible at names. That's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's why you're an online guy.
Exactly.
So a personal greeting versus a non-personal greeting. A non-personal one would be, hey, everybody, glad you're here, kind of a thing, as opposed to, hey, Phil, we're glad you joined us tonight.
Yep. So. Very good. All right. Yeah. So personal greeting, very important. And if you even know the person, you might even, mention something like, how was your trip to, to whatever, San Diego, or how was your trip? You don't want to get too personal, maybe, but you might, if you know something about the person, how's your dog doing or something? Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So let's move on here. So personal greetings, very important for the people. So again, the way this is, at least the way our system works with streamingchurch.tv, is you can actually, the host can actually be identified as a host. So when people come in and somebody starts talking, if you're coming in and watching something, you can see the host pop up in the chat, and it will say host or whatever, online host or whatever, web host, whatever we call it. And so it's not just a careless stranger. It's actually somebody that has a little bit of, recognition.
Yep.
Kind of like wearing a name tag at church, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody on staff would wear, I'm on staff. My name is Larry.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So it's important to have personal greeting. And look, I know there's some of you listening out there or watching this podcast right now. And if you're watching, I apologize because you're looking at us. But if you're listening to us, you might say, well, I greet people and they don't say anything. That's okay. It's still okay to greet them,
Absolutely.
Well, I think once they're through our little 8 points here, you're going to see some improvement in that area.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree.
All right.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
Number 2.
What's number 2?
Number 2, ask questions.
Ask questions. So what? Personal questions? What do we? What should we ask? What kind of deodorant do you wear?
No.
Okay.
Simple, non-intrusive questions.
Yeah.
People will respond to.
Yep.
Things like, where are you watching from?
Yep. That's a great.
Anybody from out of state?
Yep. Even though you can check and already know that on the Church Online platform, but it's still a great conversation starter. I used to also begin that process and then repeat it often. Church Online's a little different. It's okay to talk in church here. And I find typically during the music time, folks engage in conversation a little bit more as they're settling down. And then things kind of go quiet once the sermon part. But the questions, I would actually back that up. I'm not sure this counts as another point, but I did some testing when I was a Church Online guy because I love data and I love that kind of thing. And I found that if I started the service 15 to 20 minutes early, and I had, like at the movies, a slide roll going that asks some questions like at the movies and kind of engage the online with a countdown that way, that my attendance was more, I started expanding and growing my attendance because people that arrived early didn't bail and forget to come back. So they started engaging, they had a conversation, somebody asked them, where you're from, what's your name, all of those things. And we had kind of a game going on, and it made a huge difference for us in how many people stayed in the service, and our actual attendance went up by just backing up about 15 minutes prior to service and having some questions.
That's a good point. Very good point. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Point number 3. Who's banging on something there? Who's that?
That's me. I'm always fidgety.
You're making noise.
I know. It's easy.
All right, so personal greeting, ask questions, get people to interact. Here's the third point, prayer. Uh, this is something you can actually do even on chat. You can invite prayer requests. And depending on the platform you're on, like with our platform, shameless plug, streamingchurch.tv, I mean, there's actually a prayer request button that people can put a private prayer request into the web. If that web host isn't online for some reason, shame on them. But if they're not, it would go to the main admin, kind of in the form of an email. But prayer, engaging people, again, another way to connect. And especially if it's, we got a difficult time here in this country, in this world right now. And so people, anxiety issues, stress issues, these are opportunities to pray with people and to give them, and you can do that through chat, or you can reach out to them even later if you wanted to. But the idea here is to make a connection. And so requesting, letting people know, hey, we take prayer requests. You can do it on private chat, which most of these platforms have. We have it obviously on ours. And I think it's important to reach out and do that.
Yeah. So the host would be not aggressive, but proactive, I guess is the proper term, in inviting people for prayer. And, as our notes talk about, you can kind of tie it into whatever the pastor's talking about. So if you're dealing with anxiety, like the pastor's talking about, we'd love to pray with you, or whatever it may be. If you've recently gone through, XYZ that the pastor, this message is about, we'd love to pray with you. Click the button. So.
Yeah. Powerful way to connect with people. All right. So we're going over things that online hosts should be doing during your streaming video. Let's move on to number 4, links.
Is that like sausage links? Sausage links?
Kind of.
Different kind of links. Okay.
They're links.
I gotcha.
But they're links that you can point people to, that people can click on, and they can link to, depending on what you got. I mean, if you have, I can't remember what I have in my notes here, but if you have a connection card, you could, on our deal, you could actually put it on your platform, but you could also put it in the chat. You could put a link in the chat that point people to a connection card that they could fill out, prayer request, those kind of things, ask questions. Or, you could put a link in for people to give online. Hopefully everybody has that tool on their website to give online. You could stick a link in the platform there. But links are good because people can always click on those things, especially if you set the link up correctly. It can open up into another page or another area that won't take people away from your live stream. So that's one of the things I think you have to be careful about is you don't want to put a link in there and then it takes people away from the stream. You want to make sure that the link is set up in such a way where it opens up another browser tab or something else.
That's a great opportunity now, with so many people only being able to be online. I think it's just, you've got to have a tools in place to help people do what they normally do at the church. So giving and communication and all of those things. If you use our platform, the dynamic area allows you to change it during the service. So if the pastor says, I want you to take this step, you can have a link so that somebody online can take that same step every time, and just click a button, fill out a form, or whatever it is they're supposed to do, print something out to stay engaged at a deeper level while you're in the digital world.
Yeah. This is one of the things that you want to do a little pre-work with. I mean, before the service, you want to say, pastor's talking on this. I need, I'm going to put together these half a dozen links that might come in useful. Right. So they're ready and handy. They're in my dynamic zone, or I can copy and paste them into the chat. But you want to have this all set up before the service starts.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So links is the 4th one. The 5th one, as we move right along here on our little Church Solutions podcast, is encouragement. Be encouraging, and you can, everybody needs encouragement. Everybody likes encouragement. And as a church if you're a host, this is one of these things where maybe you're having a bad day, but you need to step out of that, so to speak, at least for a little while, and put on your best your best face, if I can say so, because you have a responsibility as a host. And so you may not be feeling up to par, but there may be people out there that need encouragement, and you can share different things during the worship, maybe share a scripture in the chat area. Use again what Mike was saying earlier, even a reference, a link or something that would take people to uplift people. Just little words of encouragement mean a lot to people. And as a host, that's a huge responsibility that's not hard to fill. It's not difficult. You just have to do it. And so a lot of times what I would do in the past was, if I knew, which I usually always knew what we were talking about, I would try to find a scripture or two or even a quote or something from somebody else that kind of fit along with what the topic was that the sermon was on, and again, bring encouragement to people, because you just don't know who's listening or who's watching. Yep. And where they're at. Mm-hmm. And even when they come on and act like everything's okay, it doesn't mean that everything is okay. Sometimes our world is falling apart. And as a host, you have a unique ability and gift to help uplift them and bring them into a better place than they might be. So, scripture references, whatever that might be. So, all right. Shall we move on?
Yes. Number 6. Quote the pastor. So as an online host, you should quote the pastor. What does that mean?
Well, you want to quote him, if he says or she says something that is very profound or inspirational, if you can type that, if you can retype that very quickly, that will emphasize what they just said. If it was a significant point, try to say it again in the chat if you're able to.
All right. And you can add your own little comment about, pastor says this. Do you believe that? Or how's that working in your life? Or, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Again, it reinforces what was just said, and it also encourages interaction.
Right.
Yep. And if you're using multiple devices, encourage people to tweet it or post it to another platform out there. As the host, you can start the process and encourage people to take it to the next step, and they can copy and paste it into their stream or of multiple social media channels.
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, what else? Instagram. There's a bunch of them now.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. TikTok, whatever. TikTok, I heard TikTok might be banned. The United States might ban TikTok.
Conversation about that, but we'll stay out of that lane.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I really don't. My son has TikTok, but he's 21. I think my wife watches videos on TikTok. Yeah. That's how worldly she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well. All right. So we're moving along here. So quote the pastor if you can. Again, just reinforce what's going on, reinforce the message, reinforce the spirit of things. And then the 7th point is, it's always good to help people take the next step. And so you want to have your viewers, you want to be able to help turn them into not just viewers, but to participate. To help them get to the next place where they're at.
Right, exactly. So you want it, whatever that next step may be, right?
Yeah, it could be.
So that next step may be attending in person if we weren't in the middle of COVID. Yeah. And then the next step may be, if you're not in a small group, get in a small group. It may be, hey, you're the first time here attending online, come to learn about our church class that we hold once every couple of months. Whatever the next step is, you want to be, as the online pastor, encouraging and pointing out, what that next step is, and providing a link to it, and allowing people to, take that next step, whatever it may be.
Yeah. And it could be anything. And again, it's again just moving people along. Everybody's at a different place, different strokes for different folks. But if you can continue to engage people and give people opportunities to do so, that is just a great thing. All right. So let's move on to the 8th point. I'm thinking of a 9th point here too, but we'll get to the 8th point.
Bonus.
Yeah,
Bonus.
a bonus, no extra charge. But the eighth one is really engaging people in private conversations if they allow that and if they want that. So
Yeah.
if you have that opportunity to be able to engage them in private chat, which again most features have, we certainly have had it for years, or if they're willing to give you an email, or even if they would trust you enough to give you a phone number, private conversations kind of moving along the lines of the next step here is also very important, because you get that opportunity to engage people, encourage people in a more intimate basis, I guess is the word I would use, and it can again help build relationship there with people and help them on their spiritual journey.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
My other point was that I don't have on here. Go ahead, Steve. Were you going to add something
No.
to private conversations? My other point was, if you can do some kind of a follow up, and this is one of the things that we have on streamingchurch.tv. I don't know if anybody else has it yet. They may have copied it by now, like they have many other things we've done. But did that sound sarcastic? But,
little bit. That's okay.
But we have a follow-up feature. We actually have an automatic follow-up feature where if people will give you their email, if they want to, they can give you their name and email, and you can set things up with us to automatically follow up. But even if you don't have that or you don't use that, again, this kind of goes back to the private conversation thing. But follow-up is so important, as Mike and I know, and Steve knows as well, working in churches. If you can follow up with visitors, follow up with people, it really just helps, build people up. It builds a church. It helps people get to the next level. It encourages your church, overall, because everybody has a unique gift and a unique opportunity to add to what is happening in your local church. And that's why, I've always been encouraged with people. As somebody that's been involved in ministry for a long time, I get excited when people come back, not just because I want another person in the pew or another person to add to the list, but people have gifts and talents. And when we get them engaged in a community of believers, they can eventually add their gift and their talent to the community, to what people are doing, and they can enlarge the vision of the church. They can reach a bigger part of the community by just being a part of things and being encouraged to activate, and this is probably a word that you use, Mike, because I know you help people find their purpose. Activate their purpose, activate what they're doing, and get them on track with fulfilling what their gifts and their callings are. Yep. So follow-up leads to that, can really lead to that.
Absolutely. Certainly can, and really that's the name of the game. If you want people to feel cared for and want them to feel connected, then we got to follow up everywhere that we can. Anywhere that we make a connection point, we find a way to follow up.
Yeah. And as the online host, you're kind of tilling that soil to make it more fertile for the follow-up opportunity.
Yeah.
By asking a personal question and addressing them by name, and applying some of these steps is going to soften people up to be open for a private conversation or a follow-up later. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, good. So that was the ninth point that we added for free, no extra charge.
Bonus, a freebie.
Okay. All right, good. So again, we just want to encourage you. Maybe you're watching this or listening to this and you don't have chat. We have an opportunity for people to not have chat when they stream with us, but we encourage people to use chat as much as they can. And also engage. Some people are saying, well, I don't know, we don't have volunteers. Well, get somebody. There are people, and Mike and I and Steve, this too. We used to have a guy from Ohio that we're in Arizona. A guy from Ohio was one of our hosts, and I'm trying to think of his name. I'm probably going to insult the guy if he hears this. What was his name? I can see his face, but he was out of Steubenville, Ohio.
Yeah, I remember them vaguely, but
Young, wasn't it Young?
Yeah, David Young.
I don't think it was David, but
not David.
What I was getting at was your online host does not have to be at the church.
No, they can be anywhere. They can connect with internet.
Yeah, they can be anywhere, and if they understand the church, they're a part of the church in some capacity. They understand the vision. They're on the same page with you, so to speak. you can have different online hosts. You can have multiple hosts, it can get involved and do things. So the idea like, well, we don't have anybody who can do it, that's kind of a lame excuse. There's people that could do it if you help them understand the vision of what an online host can do. I think if they understand what it all involves, you might find some people excited about it. Hey, I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm done.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
all right. So look, we'd love to get your feedback on this, folks. If you want to add something to this list or take it away or dispute it or just tell us how great we are, you can send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. And we'll be happy to hear from you. And if we can help you in any way with streaming video or mobile apps or whatever else we're doing around here, and we're always doing something, we would be delighted to do so. All right.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
All right, guys. All right. Well, we'll get out of here. We're out of time. So I'm Phil Thompson. Steve Lacy's been with us. Michael Gray's been with us. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today on the Church Solutions Podcast. Please take care of yourself and those around you, and we'll see you again next time. Have a great day.